So this is a helpful little video about how to stop overthinking. Maybe, let's hope. So just to go through what I'm talking about when I'm talking about overthinking. Overthinking is, I think, what the word that we use when we find ourselves analysing things to the point where we can't take action. Or feeling a lot of busyness in our heads and a lot of tension. And perhaps a need to choose the correct course of action, but not having any clarity about what that's going to be. So I think the term overthinking for me is when we have a very, very busy mind and it's not, it all feels a bit muddled. It doesn't feel clear. Because we might have a busy mind and that might be helpful to us. But this is overthinking is a term that I associate with that sense of muddled busyness. So basically how I understand it and how I understand that state is that when we're over-reliant on our own ideas for ways to move forward, or our own understanding of the world, then if we don't have another place to come from, if we are living entirely in our ideas and we're not recognizing deeply that we are the power source for those ideas, then it becomes very hard to see which ones are good and which ones aren't, and then we just keep creating more and more ideas, and then we get this sense of like real busyness. So I want to come right back to understanding that we're creating our reality from the inside out. So that all the things we experience are, by some measure, our thinking. The power of thought is bringing them to us. The power of our minds, like our whole experience is being conjured within our minds. When we connect to that understanding, we recognize that there's a power behind it. There's an awareness of it. We're aware of what we're experiencing, and there's a power to it. Like it's being conjured. Somebody, something, ourselves are making this happen for ourselves. We're like painting the painting as we're viewing it. So when we really, really understand that, there's somewhere else for our attention to rest other than in our own ideas. So we're not analysing the painting, we're recognising our own hand in it. And I think that for me, when we can really see that for ourselves, analysing the painting makes a lot less sense. And that's what I think overthinking is. So when we have this baseline experience that's going on for us, we are quite often adding a lot of future and a lot of past to the present moment. So when we drop back into the present moment, there's not a lot to do other than appreciate it. That's just the obvious thing. But for a lot of people, even the idea of being in the moment will have a lot of structure that is past or future. A lot of reference points. And this is beautiful. This is how we experience. I mean, we all do this. We're all human beings. We all have, like, everything we experience is relative and labeled. And like, I know I can sit on that chair because I know that chair is designed to take my weight. Like, there's so many assumptions that we're all living in all of the time that there's no real point in trying to unpick any of those. But what's really helpful is to know that they are assumptions and we're living in them. And in that, we can actually see that what we see as reality is our own conjuring. And so then analysing what we're seeing or what we're experiencing becomes a little less interesting to me. It's quite a hard thing to articulate, but if I'm overthinking whether or not to sit on a chair, this is a really simple analogy, but maybe it'll help. I only have my own experience to go on. So I can either choose to sit on the chair or not, and I can bring my experience to bear, like, oh, every time I've sat on a chair that looks like that, it's been fine. But unless I sit on the chair, I'm not actually going to know if it can bear my weight or not. All of the thinking of all of the experience that I have, whilst it looks like it's a predictor of probability, it can't actually give us the answer. And in the same way, when we find ourselves overanalyzing any situation, and I think that's the overthinking part, we habitually overanalyze. So this is really a problem for smart people, because you probably have done very well through guessing, oh, well, I know that chair can take my weight because the last 10 times it did. And when you're smart, you make better predictions. So you're right more often, and then you reinforce the process. So we're always reinforcing this process of predicting and analysing and overthinking. And a lot of us have come into adulthood and really reinforced that to the point where we might potentially struggle to do things because we are not sure of what the outcome's going to be. It's how we experience anxiety is the same way. So overthinking is just another way of over-relying on our current thinking. So we all have like this scaffolding, this structure within our minds. We all have this reality that we're projecting into the world. And when we allow that to potentially be wrong, we see the fallibility in it, like, I'm not right about everything. Even if that chair took my weight every other time, it might not again. So we might not be right about everything, but we're living within this structure. We're building it, we're living in it, we're projecting it, we're experiencing it, we're projecting it, we're experiencing it. It's like this beautiful, incredibly fast, incredibly powerful feedback loop. But when we can acknowledge the fallibility of it and find the sense of our beingness that's powering the whole show, we can feel a sense of peace and okayness underneath whatever it looks like is going on in our lives, whatever it looks like we're thinking or feeling emotionally. And it suddenly takes the temptation, for me at least, it takes the temptation out of overanalyzing, because I might be wrong. The bedrock of what I'm basing my analysis on, which is my reality, might be wrong. And so that to me means that overthinking is then not that tempting. And another person might go, well, that just means I need more information, which I understand. So therefore going and finding more information. Now, in some senses and in some aspects, that's a really valuable and common sense thing to do. If I don't know how to do something, I can go on YouTube and I can find a tutorial as to how to do something, and that can be really helpful. But to what level I need to understand what I'm doing before I have a go is a really good thing to be aware of. Because if I need to go and get an engineering degree in order to sit on a chair, that's not going to really work. That's going to be a lot of studying for something that is a very simple day-to-day action. So what we can do is we can come back to that feeling of, I'm powering this whole experience that I'm conjuring for myself. I'm having this vivid, beautiful, meaningful, powerful experience, and I'm generating it for myself. So that to me is like wicked, and I don't need to overthink any of it. I can use all of my brain power to enjoy what I'm experiencing, as opposed to trying to control different elements of it. So for me, I'm going to sit on the chair, and if I fall on the floor, that's quite funny, and I'll just enjoy that experience. There's no, and so it's about, so for me, it becomes about that sense of what I want to be feeling in my body. If I'm creating this show for myself, then the last thing I want to be feeling and emphasizing is a busyness up here and a tension up here. So for me, the obvious thing then is to come back into the present moment. When I find myself tensioning, it's to come back into the present moment, to come back into just feeling where my feet are on the floor or where my bum is on a seat, just feeling the air coming into my lungs, feeling the sensation of my eyes watching the world. And that, to me, I can actually really calm everything by just doing that. But understanding why overthinking isn't appealing to me anymore is also really helpful, potentially, because we can see the fallibility of what all our fantasies might be. I mean, how many times have we gone over conversations that we're going to have the conversation be nothing like what we planned? Or there's a lovely quote from Elizabeth Gilbert, which is, "What was your problem 3 problems ago?" And I just think that's so beautiful, because it just shows us immediately that we're really just, we can just be conjuring, we can just be churning this, it can just be habitual. We've learned that this is a good way of living, so we do it and we do it, but it's not a nice space to exist within. It's much more juicy, relaxing, yummy to be in your own body and experiencing the world as this miraculous painting, miraculous conjuring, for want of a better word. So to be fascinated in what is being created for you in the moment, rather than seeking to control or analyze what's being made for you in the moment by yourself. As soon as we sort of glimpse the fact we're powering the show and it's completely unique to us, no one else is having our experience, it suddenly becomes a much more delicious place to be, because we can appreciate the uniqueness of it. And those predictions that we make, unfortunately, when we're good at making predictions, we tend to rely more heavily on it in order to try and avoid the sensation we don't want. But actually, when we can really see that we're just creating this and experiencing it, and there's no real control anyway, we can't actually learn about things enough to control the future. So that, to me, is the ultimate undoing of overthinking. It's just not appealing. Why would I do that? When I forgot this baseline reality that's so fascinating, why would I then build myself away from it? So I'm experiencing, trying to control and create something over here when I'm already creating all of this. All of this is actually so delicious. So coming into that, rather than relying so heavily on that, you've built yourself 10 steps away from it and are worrying about the 10 steps away from it. The what if, what if, what if, what if. There's just no predicting. It's all too much assumption to be actually useful or actually accurate. So it's a bit like, well, sure, if it feels good, of course you'd do it. But my experience is that feels quite tense and unpleasant. And coming back into taking a deep breath, opening your eyes to see plants or to see nature or to just see your own house, to appreciate your favorite mug. Any of that, to me, is a much more delicious feeling, and it's a much more true experience than something that I can, because these fantasies are always very two-dimensional. They're not really juicy. Not like the actual moment can just be so filled with life, because that's where we are. That's where that power is in us. It's in the present moment. And that's the only place it is. So I hope that's been somehow useful for the overthinkers amongst us. And I'd love to hear questions or points of view on this. It feels like a while since I spent any time mashing things in my brain like that. So I'm really curious about your experience. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.